Hello and welcome back to an episode of the CTO Show with Mehmet. Today I'm very pleased. Joining me, Lara Hamilton. Lara, she is a technology leader. She's been in the industry for quite some time. She's working into a very interesting space as well, which is related to properties and property tech, which we're gonna a little bit talk about today. As I do usually with all my guests, I don't like to steal their time. Lara, thank you again for being here with me today. Please tell us a bit more about you, your background, your journey, and then we can dive into discussion right away after that.
That sounds great. It's so great to be here. I didn't start out on a traditional path in IT. That wasn't what I grew up and wanted to be in technology. I stumbled into it by working at a bank that had banks have operations departments that handle all the back end work, and I was in that department. And what I did was I worked in a wire transfer desk where we were doing everything manually, and I was able to make it more efficient just out of sheer boredom, and, I eliminated my own position. Instead of letting me go, what they did was they moved me around into other departments so that I could make those departments more efficient as well, and it snowballed into my position now in technology, and, once I left the banking industry and went into, directly into IT, I started working for the company I'm with now, and, it just grew from there.
Great. And thank you again, Laura, for being here with me today. So, after all this time, working at the intersection of IT operations and compliance, so, like, what drew you to this space and what has kept you there, I would say?
Well, the one thing about IT is it's always changing. It's interesting. There's always something new to learn. I am not one of those people that wants to do the same thing over and over again. I like learning new things, and so that's really kept me interested in the industry and in the position I'm in. The thing that I hear a lot is, "Well, that's how we've always done it," and to me, that's like the worst answer ever because that means you haven't tried to improve on what you're doing.
I love this because I am one of the. They used to call me the troublemaker. I used to work in IT department once, and my first question is why you do it this way? And of course, maybe when I was younger, probably maybe my voice tone, maybe my body language was people they thought like I'm aggressive, but actually I meant like, okay, why we do it this way? Like maybe there's another way we can optimize on it. So yeah, and I'm a big believer that actually anyone that works in technology, uh, this is should be their number one goal, like how we can keep optimizing the systems we have. So now at your current company, Laura, so you provide help desks to other realtors, right? So you work with a lot of real estate agents, property managers, I believe, right? If correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
So like how much technology powers modern property management and what surprised you the most about the space, especially when you shifted into it?
Well, when I shifted into it, a lot of the things that people did were very manual. I actually taught a property manager how to turn on a computer and how to take all her index cards and transfer that information into a software. And so it was very much going from um, the very manual, no computer using dial-up internet kinda thing to how do we get that into a system that'll help you with your processes? And so that's been my beginning experience in this industry, but what surprises me is that sometimes, even today, those are still, I'm still dealing with those same things. Although most people have computers and they have some type of software, it's where's that operational friction coming from that we can do something to help streamline what you're doing and make your day be more useful.
Right. Are you still, out of curiosity in this domain specifically? Because I had some guests, like some of them they were in the banking sector, which you used to be
Yeah.
in. Some they were in the healthcare. So here, like, for when it comes to adoption and willingness to try to optimize maybe some processes using technology, like, is it a domain where you see a lot of pushback from people, or is it like more like they are happy to try, and like how's the acceptance, I would say, of trying new things in this domain?
I think it's mixed. I think some people, you know, so the hot topic now is paperless, going
Mhm.
paperless, and people are very attached to their paper. They like to highlight, they like to circle things, they like to that physical touch of something, and so to be able to, navigate that and try to help them see the benefit of going paperless. That's one thing. And then AI is another that big elephant in the room for everyone. And it's scary to some, and some it's exciting. For me, it's a middle ground. I think it's exciting, but you still need to have governance that's helping you navigate that properly.
Right. I'm gonna come to the AI later on, but I want to go back to something you mentioned in your intro, actually, and it seems like you became so expert in this, which is basically optimizing and at the same time scaling, right?
Yeah.
So, what are the biggest mistakes usually you see organization they do when they try to scale operations? And what's the secret to do it without increasing, in this case, the IT teams, like to keep, the IT department lean, while the business is growing.
Well, the thing is the days of someone sitting and looking and watching your servers, and having that one IT guy that stays in the IT closet and never leaves it and all those things, those days have gone to the wayside. Now it's more of, um, optimizing your, things online. More people are, all using their computers on a more regular basis to get their jobs done. So it's become more of a prevalent thing. More average, regular employees, a leasing agent, these people are very knowledgeable in technology because they've been raised with it. And so utilizing that skill set without taking the human element out of it has been the challenge too.
Right. Um, Laura, I gotta, tell you a little bit, some background about this podcast, and this is will lead to the question. So my main goal, why I start this podcast and why I call it the CTO, actually, because I felt there is, a more. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but there was. I felt a need to bring more people who can bridge between IT and business, right?
Right.
And this is something you've done also as well. So why we keep seeing or hearing sometimes from people, like organizations struggle with this gap bridging kind of thing, and how we can improve that from leadership perspective, like what's could be like the secret sauce, I would call it, to make sure that because us as people working in technology, we tend to talk too much about the bits and bytes, and the megahertz and gigahertz, and now
Yeah.
with the AI we have new terms also as well, a lot of jargons. So what can be done to make sure that we are bridging this gap between the IT and business in a better way?
Well, you have people in a company in a business that are very high level thinkers, your CEOs, people like that, and they see vision of how they want something done. They see the buzzwords like you're talking about, and they want, how can we bring that into our company? But they don't know how to implement that in a real situation. How's that going to affect the employees? How's that gonna affect my IT world? And that's where IT comes in and should be able to, um, help and not over acronym people to death, you know what I mean? We do that, we do have a tendency to get really excited about something and we start throwing acronyms out and terminologies and all these things, but it's how is that process going to help you? One of the main things is, do you have a process? You know that somebody does a task, but is that process of how they get from point A to point Z, is that laid out in a format? Do you have each step someone has to go through? And I think that's one of the biggest hurdles companies have because they've gone through the motions, they're doing it. You've got long-term employees that are doing things that they've done, and maybe they've changed their processes over time, but they have this internal knowledge that's never really been documented. And understanding what those processes are and what those steps are helps in how can we make this process more efficient for you? Not because you want to, let's just throw it out there because this is what people think. People think you start writing things down and you start eliminating employees. And that's not what it's meant for. It's meant to understand and how can we improve that employee's life and give them the time back that they really need in their day to do things that are more important. And I'm not saying what they're doing is not important, but
Mm-hmm.
we want to build a system or a processes in place that will help with the friction that they're seeing, their frustrations, and will eliminate some of those frustrations. So they have that more can be more of that person that you can go to. How can I sell a unit, sell a an apartment to a person coming into my office if I'm spending all my time pulling reports and adding this to this spreadsheet because it's not already there and all these other things, that are just creating busy work, so to speak.
Right. Do you think like this is one of the reasons now? Of course, AI is the biggest thing here, but
Mhm.
is this the main reason why we see sometimes projects fail because we don't have the what you just described, like we didn't have the time, maybe, or maybe we ignored to document how we do things, and then we to the example of the AI, someone maybe mentioned to the business owner, "Hey, you should adopt AI." And next day, the guy comes in, say, "Hey, guys, like we need to deploy AI." And then after a while, they figure out, oh, like it didn't work, and then they think the technology it didn't prove itself. So, um, how much that is important when we need to deploy, or let's say adopt a new technology successfully?
Oh, it is the most important part. It's the foundation of your house. If you don't have a strong foundation, then everything you build on top of that is not going to be strong. AI is that way. It is exactly that way. If you don't have your processes put in place and understand them, you can't teach or tell AI what processes to do next. It's only as good as what you put into it. It doesn't have logic. It doesn't think logically. It's going to do exactly what you tell it to do. But also property management software, QuickBooks, anything that you're doing even outside of AI, is only as good as the process that you put in place. So if you have, and I'll give you an example in property
Sure.
management, we have 5 things. If you don't do 5 things, then you haven't really completed the process. If you don't have a prospect, um, and you don't put that prospect information into the system, then you're going to put in that application for that person. You're going to run screening for that person. You're going to move them in once they've been approved. And
Hmm.
then you're gonna take their payments for their rent and their security deposit and all these things. That's 5 easy steps, right? But there are processes and steps that have to be done with each one of those things that make everything work seamless. If you don't have that email address, then once that person moves in, they can't go online and make a payment. You have that to bring you a check, right? And we're kind of out of the world of checks almost nowadays. So it's all these things that are the devil's in the details. So if you don't
Hmm.
have those details put in place, whether it's in your software process or whether it's in a task that someone does, then there's no way to really truly do something successfully.
Right. Now, this is very important, Lara, because this is like I would say the basics, which for you and me it might be like very obvious, but it's good we mention it because people they need to understand that without having these steps done, any technology, whether it's AI or other than AI, you will struggle. So and I still get surprised when I hear people like say, hey, like we need the best in class thing, um whatever technology, let's say a CRM, or I don't know, like help desk system or so on. But you find out that after a while they start to complain, then exactly the reasons you mentioned,
Yeah.
because they didn't put the basics before adopting these technologies. Now, coming to the AI, and it's a coincidence just before start the recording with you today, Laura, is I read a post and then I had prepared also a post myself on LinkedIn talking about the AI and what's happening around the AI, because I think the biggest debate today in tech and for leaders in IT, like whether are we in a hype, like do really people are seeing ROIs, and the study I just read and then I you know wrote about, it's mentioning that how IT departments from 2024 to 2025 they had to slash and reduce some of the budgets related to AI because they didn't see ROI. But on the same research, they said but some people they were able actually to see a good ROI. So from the position you are at today, Laura, like what kind of actual use cases you're seeing organizations successfully deploying in their environments
And with AI, using AI.
using AI? Yes.
So I think some of the things that I've seen that have been really successful, and things that are, it's like it's taking these small tasks that and putting them into a real world scenario, and helping take out that. Again, I'm going to just say it again: operate that operational friction that your employees might face. And I'll use an example in our own company. So
Hmm.
one thing that we do is we have a ticketing system. All of our anyone that needs assistance, they put a ticket in, we help them, and then all of our clients, they want reports based off of that information. We provide ourselves with reports based off that information. And what we do is we take them, and then every day we send out notifications to the employees. Hey, here's how many tickets we've done. Here's how many hours we've supported people, based off each employee. That information used to be a manual process where we would go in and we would pull this information out, we'd put it in Teams. Here's this information provided to you on how we're doing for the day. How do we do yesterday? We have used now AI agent where we have implemented all this information, and it every day shoots out this information to us every morning before everyone gets to work. Here's what we did yesterday. Let's keep going. Let's do a great job today. And nobody has to touch the system to do that anymore. That's a simple thing that we've done, but it's something that's been super effective and super helpful. And nobody has to go in and do something and pull a report and screenshot and do all these things, it was causing us operational friction because it was something that could have been eliminated and put into an automated process that AI was able to help us with. And that's
Right.
just one thing.
And you can put, like, if you want to give another example, what I'm interested in, Laura, like you can put, of course, reducing operation friction is big, but can we put a price tag next to that? Like, can we say, like, we save this amount of hour and this hours like cost us X amount of dollars, or maybe we remove the friction because based on all the enhancements we did using these AI tools, maybe customer satisfaction increase, and we remove the risk of losing customers maybe, and again we can put, so how you're seeing like also these kind of conversations going.
Well, let's just say you saved an hour a day just by not having to pull reports and put it into a format that's readable, and then put it into a Teams chat or whatever format you're using. That's 5 hours a week. Um, that's almost, a full day of someone's work that you've just retrieved back and given them life to. That's a small, simple task. That's not something like an Excel report that you're having to pull different reports and put it all into one report and pull the information in. The software doesn't have it in this format, so we have to pull two reports to get it into one, and all those things. So there's a lot of things like that that are very, I call them time sucks. The information's there and you have it, but you had to put it into some format that the in person that's reading that report needs to see it to where they can make educated decisions for financials, for budgeting, for other things within your organization. So that could save you hours a day, and give you time back that you can use doing other things, making better decisions, doing proactive actions instead of reactive actions.
Right. And I think, we need to wait some time, like, because people nowadays, they are, the AI made us like this, I believe. And, of course, we want something immediately. We want, like, it's like click button and then we see the ROI immediately. I think
Yeah.
sometime we need to give it also some time so we can collect better data and then we can compare to before and after. And then, like, expecting an ROI in, I don't know, like less than a year, for me, it's like a little bit still, we're not there yet. Like, you need to put it into action for some time before really we see the benefits. But of course, maybe there are some tangible benefits we can see immediately. But I mean, to have the full picture, we still need to wait. Like, this is my humble opinion on this. And but
Yeah.
because of all the noise that's happening, whether in media or like stock market, and all the things that are happening, and the creators who talks about AI, they created a kind of a hype, not into the AI itself, but the expectation. And I think this is something, and this is why I'm happy you mentioned this also, Lara, because this is coming from someone who's actually living in the scene of the technology, like managing an IT department. So this better than anyone, and I'm happy you mentioned this. Now, we're mentioning AI, we're mentioning adopting technologies, we're mentioning some of the challenges. Top of mind for any leader like yourself, Farah, I'm sure, is the data, right? So, and protecting the data, cybersecurity, and AI is making this more complex today. So, in your domain, what are like the major threats you're seeing today, and like, did AI made this worse, worse? And I mean, what are you seeing in that space?
Yeah, I can give you a great example of where AI
Sure.
was a hurdle for us. Um, so you can and I wanna make sure everyone understands too, AI is not a purple people replacement. And this is a
Hmm.
good example of where AI is used as a person, and it's not a replacement for a person. And that is, we have a company that uses AI in their voice answering. And so you call and you get a prompt, and it sounds like a person, and they ask you what your issue is, what who do you need this, do you need that, and you've seen it. Many companies use prompts, press one for this, press two for that, and what we were finding as an IT support system for this company was we never got to a live person, and because it always went to an AI agent. And because of that, we were not able to get to the live person that needed hardware support. And so they
Mm.
have an issue with their computer, but we can't get to a person to get them support because we keep getting an AI agent. And so we had to come find different ways to of communicating, "Hey, I need you to call me," or shoot them an email, shoot them a Teams message. Is there another phone number where we can get around this AI agent because we're not getting a live person that's actually reaching out to us for support? And so that was one of the things that we've seen as a hurdle with AI. And when I say hurdle, it's not just that we couldn't get to them; it's that sometimes and AI is not a replacement for a person in a way of it doesn't it doesn't can't analyze and think logically as far as emotion. It doesn't understand those kind of issues. And so, you know, when you need a person that can empathize and that can understand um, in a different way than just straight facts that you're putting in, an AI bot can't do that. And so,
Right.
the human element still very real and still very needed.
Right. Now, talk about, security. How do you balance, the strong security practices with the need to keep, people productive? I think I watched something the other day, like, which mentioned, the every time you try to enhance the security measures, people try to avoid it somehow. Actually, I had a guest who mentioned this also to me a couple of weeks ago, and he just told me, like, if you just keep putting all these things and try to um, make it harder for them, they will try to actually avoid this somehow. So how to keep the balance, especially, and I'm sure maybe, when it comes to property, do you have a lot of sensitive data over there? And actually, all the data, it's a property for the company, so it should be sensitive by nature. But how do you keep the balance so you don't let people feel like they are overwhelmed with all the security measures?
I mean, the bad word in the industry, nobody likes it. The regular users, none of us like it. It's multi-factor authentication. Nobody wants to use it, but it is really important to utilize because it does give you an extra layer of security. With that being said, there are ways where you can implement single sign-on and things like that that help with hurdle over that. With that being said, you know, criminals are getting smarter, and every time you can come up with a way to protect yourself from a scenario, ransomware or phishing or whatever the issue is. Um, Criminals are getting smarter where, okay, well, now we've got AI poisoning where people create websites that are false and send out false information. You go look for something in a AI chat, like you're going, you search for the best. I need the information for my bank, and they are sending you false information because they've created this amazing website that seems real, and AI cannot determine what's real and what's not on the internet. So the best thing you can do is to what the old term is trust but verify. Make sure that you're calling the right phone number. Make sure you're going to the legitimate website, all those things. And yes, AI might spit out a great report for your um, about dinosaurs, but does it have source information? Is where is that information coming from? When you go, is it providing you with links to where you can go verify that information? You still have to verify.
Absolutely, you still have to verify 100%. Now, other than we spoke a lot about AI, but from what you're watching, Lara, and I'm sure you get exposed from a lot of maybe vendors, and maybe if you go to some conferences. So, other than AI, like what are some trends you are closely, watching and paying attention to at the moment, and you think that they deserve, us to watch them?
Well, I see trends in people using software, property management software specifically, to help them with tasks like mass text messaging, um, and using things like being able to screen their employees, I mean, their potential residents better. Those products are improving every single day, integrating databases together where you can have a single source of information for all of your stuff. I see softwares that have the ability to migrate your data out of their software into your own SharePoint environment so that you have ownership of your own data and things like that. And I think those are really strong softwares that do that. Um, there's a lot of things, like I said before, people are going paperless, and COVID changed the way we do business. It really did. A lot of people now were forced to learn how to do things. They were it wasn't in their wheelhouse. It wasn't comfortable. Paying your rent online wasn't comfortable, but people started doing it because they didn't want that face-to-face interaction during COVID. Now, paying your rent online is almost the best practice, and people don't come into the office and pay their rent with a check. They don't bring money orders and all those things. And so, I see the industry changing in that way where it's almost where they don't even take those things. It's more rare that they take a check or a money order or a cashier's check than people paying online and doing everything electronically.
Definitely, like this is one of the key takeaways, in my opinion, about everything is going paperless, and
Mhm.
I'm sure there's a lot of businesses that still they do a lot of paper-based work, and maybe there's a huge opportunity in the space, whether it's in the property sector or maybe any other vertical. I'm sure there's a lot there. Now, I want to, ask you about leadership in technology. Now, AI is changing a lot of things, because the way also, like, I'm guessing, correct me if I'm wrong, and here's the question. If because I used to work in IT department 20 years ago, so my KPIs, if I might use this term, to my manager, direct manager, they were, of course, like, for example, how many tickets I closed per day. They were like, I don't know. Of course, there are like the soft skills, how you talk to people, all this. But I mean, as hardcore competencies, like how much do I learn, like which certificate I took, which conference I attended. So now, in the age of AI, when it comes to you as leader, like what are like most of your time spent on when it comes to evaluating the stuff that are reporting to you, Lara?
So, about you talking about for my own employees?
Yeah, in general, I would say. And if you want to
Yeah.
give example how you're doing it today, feel free to do so also.
So with my own people, so my goal in our company was to build a team that had various skill sets that complemented each other. And one of the things is if I can't train someone up and improve their skills to where they can take my job, then I haven't really done my job because, and you can't really move up in an industry if you don't bring people up with you. And so the important thing for me was to build a team of people that each had different skills, but brought positive impact and they were willing to share their skills with each other. And so I might have one person that's an expert in firewalls, another person that's an expert in um, building PCs or reconfiguring PCs and creating images and things like that. And they share that knowledge with each other. So, what I've built is a team of people that are all skilled in all of these things over time. And it's really worked well for me. With that being said, some of the things that we do to monitor that, like you were saying, like tickets and all those things, those KPIs that you talk about, those are gonna not really ever go away because you do still have to have some form of measurement of, "Do I need more people? Are my people overworked?" But it's not just about the numbers. You also have to look at the people. Um, are they doing a lot of things outside of tickets and outside of phone calls that aren't measured? Are they, um answering the door every time somebody comes to the door? Are they taking inventory? Are these things put a ticket entered for those things? There's a lot that goes on to into a business other than just sheer numbers, and so you still have to look at the people individually as well.
Right. Now, you know, a lot of people who, enter the sector, after a while, they say, okay, one day I want to become, the leader of the IT department, like whatever the title is, director, some organization, CIO or CTO. So, what lessons have been most valuable throughout your career that you can give as an advice, to people who are just, entered this domain?
So the best advice I can give you is to learn every single day, learn more information, gather more information, learn how to do the thing that's hard. There are things that I've learned that I didn't really want to learn. They weren't things that were fun to me. They were hurdles I had to get over because I needed to know it for this other thing. And, report writing was one of those things. I didn't really want to learn it, but I had to learn it. I needed to learn it, and that skill set helped me with so many other things. So just continue to learn every single day, and there are going to be obstacles, and those obstacles could be tasks or people. They could be yourself. Don't let those obstacles stop you from what your goals are. Keep pushing because everybody's going to have obstacles and some are going to be worse or harder to get over than others. But if you really want something, just keep learning more and more. And over time, those skill sets will become a knowledge base and you will become a knowledge base for your company. And there's no price you can put on that.
Absolutely, there is no price you can put on this because you become the knowledge base. You become the, I call it like, you become the wiki for your for like people will come to you and ask you, hey, like how you do this, how you do that, and it's not
Mhm.
easy to replicate it using an AI system. I can guarantee you this, Laura. As we almost coming to an end of the episode, the traditional question I ask all my guests, where people can get in touch, and if you have any website or you want to share anything with the audience, feel free to do so.
Thank you so much. Yes, you can find us at helpdeskrealty.com, and you can message me there, and I'm happy to help you in any way I can.
Great. I will make sure that I will put, the link in the show notes. Again, Laura, thank you very much for this, very, you know, great discussion that we had today, especially from a sector I didn't cover much, from someone who've been, in the technology for quite some time, and you have a lot of experience. So I encourage people, to, listen and, share it with their friends and colleagues. And this is how I add my episodes. This is for my audience. If you just discovered us by luck, thank you for passing by. If you did so, give me a small favor, share it with as much people as you can, and subscribe also. We are available on all the podcasting platforms, and also are available on YouTube. And if you are one of the people who keep coming again and again, thank you very, very much for all the support, for the messages, for the feedback. I try to read every single thing you send me. And again, you are keeping the podcast in the Apple Top 200 podcast chart across multiple countries in the technology category. So this is, I cannot do it by myself. This is because you, the audience, you come and you listen again and again. And final thing, which it's been a while since I didn't remind you to do, if you also want to support the show, so there's one way you can do it. So um, last year I published a book called From Nowhere to Next, so you can go and find it, and you can like learn more about me and why I started the whole thing. And if you just get in touch, also you know how to find us. And as I say, always stay tuned for a new episode very soon. Thank you. Bye bye.